Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Tuesday night Habits of Health class. My name is Troy Drollinger, and we're going to start off with Carolyn Nielsen. She's going to kind of give us a little 2-minute story of what the program's done for her. So go ahead, Carolyn.
Hi, it's really great to be on. Looking at that picture, wow, still amazes me. In fact, if you would have told me 4 years ago I'd be looking at that picture of a before and after on a Habits of Health call on Zoom, I would have told you I'm going to orbit the moon with wings. So life is pretty crazy that way. I began my journey like most people. I was hopeless, helpless, desperate, and had tried every diet out there from fen-phen to praying. And I had lost previously in my life about 80 to 90 pounds 3 times and gained it all back. So I was in pretty bad shape. And I got diagnosed with diabetes. I had a 400 blood sugar and my A1C1 was 9.8. And if you don't know about numbers, that's not good. The doctor told me that it was a wake-up call. I was in my late 40s, just about to hit 50. And he said, if you don't do something, you're going to be in trouble. And so a friend of mine told me about Take Shape for Life. I did not believe it was going to work for me, but I gave it a shot. And when I lost 8 pounds my first week and I wasn't hungry, I knew that this could possibly work for me. I was traveling. It was very convenient. And I would come home after 2 weeks and my husband would say, you're smaller, you're smaller, you're smaller. And I would run in, try on a new pair of pants, and they dropped to the ground, and I was just really excited. So after I did lose 100 pounds, I went to the doctor. I had all my tests done. My blood sugars were normal. My A1C1 was 5.1. And he told me you are no longer a diabetic if you keep the weight off and if you keep doing what you're doing. So he took me off all my medications. And being a greeter at church, everyone watched me shrink down and asked me to help them. And I said, help you do what? And they said, you have to help me do what you're doing. And that began coaching, which I never dreamed I'd do. And it has changed my life, not because of the 5-in-1 plan, but because of the Habits of Health. I read Dr. Anderson's book. I am COPE certified twice, and I've read the book through twice, but I'm in it all the time. And it's those habits and the community of health that we've surrounded ourselves with here that have helped me to keep it off for over 3 years. So I'm just really excited to pay it forward and excited for everybody to join our health community and have the same results.
Well, thanks for that, Carolyn. That's a pretty powerful story. I'm gonna go ahead and switch gears and introduce Eddie Arnold. He is also a certified health coach with Take Shape for Life, and he's going to be going over week 4 with us and talking about a little bit about what we can do to move our health forward. So I will go ahead and unmute you. So go ahead, Eddie, take it away.
All right, let's see if we can share the right screen here. All right, did that show up, Troy? We got the right one?
Yes.
I'm technologically at a disadvantage, so. All right, glad to be on this. On this Zoom call tonight, week 3. As it says here, it's all about choices. So what I want you to start to think about here is really what made you choose to start the Take Shape for Life program? Was it your doctor said, if you don't do something, you're going to be on more medication or you're going to be beyond the point that I can help you? By the way, congratulations, Carolyn. Awesome story. That's inspiring every time I hear great stories like that. Or was it, when you think back about your choice to get started, was it that you felt bad about yourself and you're tired of feeling that way? Was it something that a child said or a coworker said, or where was the drive coming from? Or was it just, you know what, I want to be healthy now? So what we're going to be talking about is creating choices that are going to give us a better life. And Robert Fritz, who's a phenomenal author, composer, director, he trains a lot of coaches with Take Shape for Life. This statement here, when we're reviewing our life and what we can create, he says the choice is what makes it special. So the choice that you made to create optimal health is a special choice, and you don't want to underestimate how powerful this choice is. So let's go ahead and jump right in here. Again, if it works. There we go. Okay, so we're in week 3. Again, we're covering material out of Dr. Anderson's Habits of Health book and the workbook, The Living a Longer, Healthier Life. There's a lot of resources available for you at habitsofhealth.net or through your health coach. Make sure that you tap into your health coach if you have questions about tonight's Zoom call or questions about the program itself. So as you think back about what made you start, there's really 2 different things that motivate us to get started or to make a choice. The first one is what we call a conflict-driven motivation or problem solving. In other words, it's that my doctor said if I don't get healthy, this is going to be the result. Or I've got a wedding coming up and I don't want to be the overweight groom or father or mother-in-law or whatever it might be. I don't want to be that person there. So what we're doing here in a conflict-driven motivation or problem solving is we're trying to fix something that is negative, something we don't want. It's something that we're against, and it really is the cause of most yo-yo diets. Now what we want to switch to is we want to switch our outcome or our outlook to what we call a desired outcome or outcome-oriented motivation. In other words, I want to run a marathon. Now that may not be your goal, and that's okay. Maybe it's just, I want to live a life with no medications, where I feel healthy and I feel good about myself. It's something we're trying to create. I want to live a life where I can go hiking in the mountains and camp there for a week because I'm not worried about my health, leaving me in a precarious situation. So we're trying to create something positive. We're trying to create something long-term. It's not about dropping 20 pounds so I can fit into the dress size so I can look hot for the upcoming whatever, or losing 15 pounds so that I can make it through my military physical examination every year just to put the weight back on and having to lose it again next year. You know, we're not running away from something. We're actually running to something when we are working toward the desired outcome or outcome-oriented motivation. So to paint that picture, on the left-hand side, we've got a little diagram here. And this is really where you can start to see a yo-yo diet startup. Up in the top left-hand corner here, we've got a person who's overweight, has high blood pressure, and maybe diabetic. That motivates them to start to do something. That's the action. It's the gas on the flame, is we don't want something, so it leads to some action. We start to exercise, we start to eat a little better, we see our weight start to drop, our blood pressure starts to improve, and our doctor says, hey, you're doing a good job, way to go. So now we have a little less motivation because there's less of that bad gasoline being thrown on the fire. We perceive, even though we're not all the way to our goal, that we're making a difference. We've got those kudos, and because of that, there's less motivation. There's less drive behind it, which leads to less action. And of course, when we have less action, what happens is we return to our old habits where we put the weight on, or we got ourselves unhealthy, or we did whatever it was that put us in the situation where we needed help in the first place. And we start to go through this yo-yo. We never have an end goal. And not that optimal health is an end goal, because remember, you never get to optimal health. It's not a destination, it's a journey. It's not somewhere something we're going to achieve where you're going to get a button that says, I became optimally healthy. It's, I'm on the path, or I'm living an optimally healthy lifestyle. So there's a big difference in the mindset there. Now let's look at the right side. This is going to be our desired outcome. Now, here's what's really hard for most people. 2 things. First, what's really hard is to set a goal or write down what you really want. And it has to have an emotional connection here. It can't just be, I want to be skinny. I want to be healthy. I want to be off my medication. No, it has to be something with an emotional connection, because if not, we're going to hit speed bumps and we're going to fall off the bandwagon. And then it's going to be hard to get back on, or we're going to feel good about ourselves 2/3 of the way to our goal and we're never going to get there. And so you really have to, you almost have to taste it, is what I like to say. And so here's what I'm talking about. Quick little story. Unfortunately, I'm full of stories. But when I was fly fishing one time in the mountains of Idaho, it always comes back to fishing for me. I was fishing there, and this rickety old truck came down the mountain, and out popped two guys. The younger one was probably in his 60s. The older one, who was driving the truck, was in his early 90s. He gets out. I'm out in the river fishing. He comes out and he fishes a little bit, and he goes back and he pulls out a lawn chair and he reads a book. He comes out and fishes. He goes back and he eats a sandwich. And I'm talking to him a little bit later because I was just so impressed by him. And he was 92 years old. And the thing that really impressed me was at 92, he had the mental and physical capabilities to do what he wanted to do. He drove himself there. It was actually his son that was with him. He was enjoying what he wanted to do because he could. Now, for me, that's exactly what I want. I want to be able to do those things. I want to be able to take my kids out because physically I can. When I think about that story, this is going to sound a little weird, but I can smell the sweetness of the river. I know that sounds really weird, but there is an emotional connection for me, and that's what I work toward. Now, I'm a couple years away from 92, so I have some time and some things I'm working on every day to ensure that unless there's some sort of tragic accident that I have no control over, I'm going to make sure that every day I'm doing the little things that I need to do to reach my desired goal. So it's something I'm reaching toward. It's not just, I want to go on a fishing trip in 2 months and I need to be healthy enough to go there. Does that make sense? So when we start to identify what it is we want to create, then we have to take this really honest look at ourselves and develop what's called our current reality. That is really saying, you know what, the reality is right now, I have high blood pressure. I haven't walked a mile, let alone, maybe I haven't even thought about walking a mile in quite a long time. So the reality is I'm not healthy, I'm not eating right, I don't sleep well, and I'm far from my goal of being healthy. So then we can start to look at the choices we need to make to accomplish that goal. And here's where we're going to start to break this down, okay? So there's basically 3 types of choices we're talking about. A fundamental choice, the primary choice, and the secondary choice. As Mark Twain says here, the only way to keep your health is to eat what you don't want, drink what you don't like, and do what you'd rather not. Have you felt that way about dieting and exercise at some point in your life? Well, you know, it doesn't really have to be that way, because once you decide that you want to be healthy, it becomes a passion for you. And it can get there, whether you don't believe me or not right now, but it can get there for you. So let's start to break these down. This is Dr. Anderson, our medical director of Take Shape for Life and Medifast, and the visionary that we have who paints this picture of creating a healthy America. He says, most of us have been raised to react to circumstances. We haven't been taught to believe that we can adopt a fundamental self-generated resolve. But in fact, that is how we take charge of our lives. By realizing that no matter the circumstances, no matter the temptation, we can do what we know is right, because we've taken a stand for the choice we hold most important. So a fundamental choice, when we look at it and we break it down, is what we're willing to fight for. It's life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. It's protecting our family. It's living in this great country and not giving up the freedom that we have been given to us. Now, do we look at our health as one of those fundamental choices? Have you decided, I am going to be a healthy person? Or have you decided, rather, I should change that, have you decided, I am a healthy person? So that's a big difference. It's kind of like, to put this into a different perspective, How many of you have made the decision that you are going to be, at all costs, a person of integrity? I will not lie. I will not deceive, no matter what happens. Well, health can be the same way. I will live a healthy lifestyle. I will implement the daily choices, and we're going to talk about those, but I will implement the choices I need to be a healthy person. It's a fundamental choice. It's a mind shift. There's a little switch in our brain where we can switch that and not just react to what we don't like, but we can actually become what we do like about health. That's really where we want to go here. So let's break this down a little bit more. When we look at the fundamental choice, we have two choices that kind of help support that fundamental decision to become a healthy person. First is our primary choice. This is a big decision that we're trying to make. It's like it says here, it's deciding that we want something more than other things that we may also want. So we may want to watch all the baseball games or all the hockey games during the year, but we've made a choice to exercise on a daily basis. So we're going to give up one choice for something that we hold more important in the long run, because that primary choice supports our fundamental choice of being healthy. Now, the secondary choices are what we're going to do on a daily basis, and that's breaking things down to the minute level. And they really make up two things. One, doing some things we don't like doing. Maybe we don't like going to exercise, but we're going to do it anyway. Or number two, not doing some things we do like to do. I really like to eat donuts, but I'm not going to do it because it doesn't support my decision to be a healthy person. So we start to break things down here. So let's dive into that a little bit more. First of all, when we look at our foundational choice, or our primary choices, our primary choices really revolve around these foundations of health. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to be a healthy weight, or I'm going to have a healthy waistline. Now, we didn't say I'm going to be a 24 on the BMI chart, okay? Healthy weight and normal waist size. I'm going to live an active lifestyle. I'm going to sleep well. These are all foundations of health. They're choices, primary choices that we can make to support our decision to be a healthy person, right? I'm going to incorporate time in my schedule to relax. Now, hopefully that isn't 14 hours a day, because that's what we call laziness, not relaxation. So relaxation is different, and it helps us recover and help support our healthy decisions. And I'm going to live in a micro environment of health. In other words, the things in my house, in my car, at my desk at work, they're going to support my decision to be healthy. I'm going to live a life of well-being, purpose, spiritual health. I'm going to surround myself with a support system. These are all primary choices. You may be working on more than one of these at one time. I would not try to work on all of them at once. Most of us on here are probably working on the healthy weight and normal waist size right now. And that's okay. Focus your efforts there. That's your primary choice that's going to help you to establish that fundamental decision to be a healthy person for now. So once you're looking at identifying a primary choice, you want to form that picture in your mind. So maybe it's an active lifestyle. Maybe the picture you're forming in your mind is you in really tight spandex on a bicycle. Okay, if you don't like that picture, you can go swim trunks, or maybe basketball shorts, playing basketball, or just out for a bike ride. Whatever you want. But the picture is here, or the point is, you need to visualize it. I see myself at 92 years old, fly fishing, and I'm using a big nymph, and I've just hooked this massive 24-inch rainbow trout. I see it all the time. So you need a picture, you need to visualize you being there. You need to quantify your goal. It can't just be, I want to exercise. Well, what do you mean by that? And you need to quantify it even further. I want to run a marathon. Okay, that's a little better, but how about By January of 2017, I want to run a marathon under 4 hours. We're quantifying, we're breaking it down, and we're setting dates. We want to avoid comparative terms. Like, I want to look as good as the trainers on The Biggest Loser. So when we're, I want to run as fast as, I want to be as healthy as, those are comparative. We're not comparing ourselves to anyone but ourselves. So we're going to avoid comparative terms. Or here's one also. I want to weigh the same as I did when I graduated high school. That's a comparative term. You are physiologically not the same as when you were in high school. Thank goodness for that. But we're not. We don't have the same muscle mass. We don't have the same body fat composition. So don't compare yourself at some other point in your life or to some other person. So let's just set goals that are real for you right now. Number 4, make sure you're focusing on creating health, not solving a problem. So don't have the primary choice be, I want to be off my medication. I want my doctor to say I'm okay. We don't want to be solving the problem. We're creating something. And then last, make sure you're describing an actual result, not a process. So the result is in January of 2017, I'm going to run a marathon under 4 minutes. That's what's going to happen in January of 2017. So we're setting that goal. Now, when we start to look at our secondary choices, these are the things that are going to help us establish that primary choice. And the primary choice, again, supports our fundamental decision to be a healthy person. So when we're looking at our secondary choices, if you take these steps, will you achieve your foundational goal? If my decision is, I'm going to walk half an hour per day, but my goal is to run a marathon in under 4 hours, unless I really articulate correctly the increase in workload to achieve that primary choice, I haven't established the goal properly. So it might be, I'm going to walk half an hour a day for the first 2 months. Maybe because I haven't walked in 3 years. And so I've got to ease into it. And then in 2 months or 3 months, I'm going to start to jog half an hour every other day. So you see how we start to lay the goal out? So we're building the secondary choices over time to support that decision, to accomplish the goal that we have set in time and precisely. We've quantified the time and exactly what we want to accomplish in our primary goal. Are your action steps accurate, brief, and concise? We need to make sure that it is that it's not vague. I'm going to drink more water. Well, how much more water? I'm going to drink more filtered water, or that's not accurate enough. I'm going to drink 110 ounces of filtered water every day. And I'm going to have it done by 8 o'clock at night so I don't wake up 5 times in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom. So we're going to really quantify and really narrow it down pretty quick. And does every action step have a due date? Put a due date on there. And really, I probably should have put a number 4 on here. Share your choices or your goals with someone else so that you can be held accountable. So that way you're reporting back to someone. Accountability is not a bad thing. We all get scared of accountability, but it's not a bad thing. It's okay to be accountable. I'm accountable to my wife every night in a good way, but I am. And we work together to raise our kids, and she's accountable to me. And we're trying to accomplish a goal of raising our kids. And we have this same thing. You can apply this in every aspect of your life, not just to become a healthy person. You can apply these same things in every aspect of your life. Your career, your relationships, your health, doesn't matter. You can apply the same things. So one of the biggest things that hopefully is an aha moment for everyone is working hard tomorrow on eating all the right things, doing the 5-in-1, drinking your water. If you're in the right place to exercise and your coach has given you the okay to start doing that, if you do all these things tomorrow, the reality is it really doesn't make a difference. It also doesn't make a difference if you have a moment of weakness and eat a cheeseburger tonight and fall off the program. It's your diabetes is not going to come back. All the weight you put on is not going to come back. You know, you're not going to make a difference with one choice. But what happens is when you start to compound those daily choices over time, the huge, powerful effect is you can create something amazing. You can get your health back. You can create that optimal health that you want, that you've maybe been dreaming about or missing or wishing you had. You can get that back. But if you really become complacent and you're not focused and you don't have your fundamental choices set and your primary goals and your secondary daily choices in place, the guarantee is if you're not moving forward, automatically you're moving backward. And so the result of bad choices is over time, you're going to be sick. You're going to feel bad. You're not going to have much energy. You're going to sleep poorly. You're going to notice you start to get a little heavy around the middle. Your clothes aren't going to fit well, so you're going to switch back into old clothes that you probably should have gotten rid of as you got out of them. And then you're going to go see your doctor for a checkup, and he's going to say, man, your blood pressure is way up there again, and I think we ought to put you back on some medications. So let's not go there. Let's be in control of our choices and know that, you know what, it's okay if something happens, as long as I get right back on track and I start to do the right things. We had a great friend who lost a lot of weight but really hadn't ever decided that health was her goal, her fundamental choice. She wasn't a healthy person. She was just a person who lost like 85 pounds, which is amazing. But she was on a family reunion, and she up on the Washington coast, and one of the greatest things you can eat up on the Washington coast is clam chowder. Boy, it tastes great, but man, it's not healthy for you. So she had a bowl, but she felt so bad about it that she felt like she failed everyone and everything, and she just dropped all of her good habits. And over a short period of time, she put all of her weight back on. It took her about 3 years to realize how silly that was. And when I say that, you're just like, oh man, why would anyone do that? But our mind can play tricks on ourselves. That's why we have to tell ourselves, you know what? If I make a bad choice, I'm going to get right back on the bandwagon, and I'm going to go back to I'm going to review my foundational choice to be healthy. I'm a healthy person. That's who I am. That's who I represent. My primary choice right now is to be at a healthy weight. And so every day I'm going to do my 5 and 1. I'm going to drink my 80 ounces of water. I'm going to talk to my coach on a regular basis, and I'm going to move toward my goal. So we're going to jump right back in that position. Because again, like I said, that one little choice is not going to make a difference long term. Just like going out for someone who is unhealthy and eating a salad is not going to make any difference at all, other than maybe they're going to have a better bowel movement the next day. That's about it. So long-term choices, long-term work. Think about what you want to create, not what you're running from. When you do this, optimal health starts to become a reality, and before you know it, you're going to be at your goal, you're going to feel wonderful, and everyone around you is going to be asking you, what in the heck is going on? You look fabulous. There's one more slide, but I don't really want to show that because it kind of went over all the things that I already went over. So I appreciate everyone being on here. Assignment for tonight. Will you please, if you would, decide what your foundational choice is? And whatever phase you're at, start to look at your primary choices. If your primary choice is to reach a healthy weight, quantify that and talk to your health coach about that. And talk about the plan you're going to create that you're already on, but talk about that with your health coach and have him or her follow through with you to create that optimal health. You guys are awesome. I wish I could see all your faces because I'd love to see before and afters of every one of you and hear all the incredible success stories. Keep it going. You can do it. We all believe in you. Thanks for being on the Zoom call.
Eddie, thanks for that. The other thing I wanted to bring up is that on our on our Habits of Health connection, our Facebook page, we're going to put up a structural tension chart. So people are able to download that and go ahead and print that out. Because I think Eddie, that when you talked about just what we talked about tonight, I think that a lot of people want to use that. So that's going to be available this evening. We'll go ahead and put that up on the Habits of Health Connection page.
That'd be great.
That kind of concludes our evening for our Habits of Health class. I appreciate everybody that showed up. Of course, this will be recorded, so you're able to view it and send it out to friends and family. Have a great night, and we'll see everybody next Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. Pacific.